Anyway, thank you all for coming this evening. I'm Orlando Menace, the director of the Creative Writing Program, and I'm so delighted and so thankful that Daniel Tobin agreed to come to our campus to give a reading as well as to visit my students in the graduate poetry workshop. Daniel Tobin is an exceptional poet and highly accomplished and a wonderful human being as well. And I will read his bio, and I will not do justice to all his accomplishments. So I want you to know that. And I will just read some of it. Daniel Tobin is the author of 5 books of poems: Where the World is Made, Double Life, The Narrows, Second Things, and Belated Heavens. The last 4 books were published by 4-Way Books in New York City. Among his awards are the Massachusetts Book Award in Poetry, the Discovery the Nation Award, the Robert Penn Warren Award, the Greensboro Review Prize, the Robert Frost Fellowship, the Catherine Bakeless Nason Prize, a Creative Writing Fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts, and a fellowship in poetry from the John Simon Guggenheim Foundation. His recent book of essays, Awake in America, appeared from our own press in 2011. And Daniel also edited the Book of Irish American Poetry from the 18th century to the present for our press in 2007. He is also the editor of Light in Hand, the selected poems, Lola Ridge of Lola Ridge, and with Pomone Triplet, Poet's Work, Poet's Play, Essays on the Practice and the Art of Poetry. Thank you all, and please welcome Daniel Tobin.
Thanks, Orlando, for that lovely introduction. I'm going to read some poems from Belated Heavens, and I'm going to read some new poems from a manuscript that will be published in the spring called The Net. But I wanted to begin the reading by reading quite a new poem, because I'm reading here at this wonderful institution, thanks to you all, but you all probably know recently that we lost a very great poet in Seamus Heaney, not that long ago. So I just wanted to read one short poem, which is dedicated to Seamus, who was my teacher, by the way, and I've written a book on him too. So, and it doesn't have a title yet. After all, this world without end, amen. The news coming on the news, on the phone. And it's as if I'm suddenly thrown back again to when I first picked up your cache of poems, and something tuned in me that made me turn leaf by sudden leaf like a tree in wind until the whole tree throws itself open, all root and writhe and airy reach at once. By your soul's path's end, you clarified the end. Poetry is a ratification of the impulse toward transcendence, given, and beyond altars dawn and monstrance noon. Still, to look inside your last look past the strand and find the living fountain plashing down. I'm going to read some poems first from Belated Heavens, and I guess sort of lift off that theme. So there'll be a couple of other sort of elegies floating in this reading. This is called The Afterlife. What's worse, nearly, than the nothing you hope it's not, is the thought of your many dead still nearby, watching you from behind your life's one-way mirror. They seem, as they hover behind the living screen, so close you almost sense them in the play of movement, glazing off your own form in a shopfront window, like the revenants of dogged film noir private eyes who shadow their suspect's every move, who ghost their oblivious quarry by blending into the crowd. Over time, they come to regard your every intimacy until you're naked as a newborn before the afterlife. The more so since you still believe you are alone, that your solitude, even in your happiest moments spent with your wife or your remaining friends, can be unfurled, the banner of your inmost self, even if it's blazoned with the pretentious seal of your delusion. Is it their own failures toward you summoning them back to the unresolving world? Or what agency do they report to with your foibles, mutterings, the wild outbursts of dread and dismay you thought no one would hear? The unguarded rituals performed behind the closed doors they walk through as if now were the moment they would make your arrest. Though maybe they're only present like the part of you that trails your life like a moon on a clear evening, a new moon burning its absent reflection in a pond, the light of its full face turned wholly to the other side. A number of poems in Belated Heavens and in the Net are sort of metaphysically driven poems, so I think I'll read a few more of these. This is called The Air Mattress. I suppose this comes out of the experience of looking at something quite ordinary and typical in life and trying to see if there's some deeper embedded significance to it. And obviously Seamus Heaney has a number of poems like that as well. A Turnip Snedder, for example. This is called The Air Mattress. The air mattress inflates out of nothing, so nothing fills this sealed plastic sheet elapsed on ground, while its little engine hums in motion, all space expanding with the driven sound. And underground, the turtle of creation swims through time, while on his back, the world's buoyant freight bobbles in tow below the firmament. Or it's the god sleeping, his oblivious cargo a lotus risen from his bright navel, the universe nothing more than his dream. Before the dream ends, infinity wings by. The god wakes, stretches, then dreams the next, that floats like this raft with its two dreamers under night's tent. O pale, belated heavens, and a low wind breathes. I'm at the University of Notre Dame, and I have a sort of Notre Dame poem. It's an Our Lady poem, but it's kind of a, I don't mean it to be at all offensive. It's sort of a pre-Our Lady poem. It's actually a monkey Our Lady, and it's called Rogue Madonna. There are a number of poems in this book, which are, I'm glad you appreciate that. Good, excellent. It's a number of poems in this book that lift off of television. We had a conversation, Jonathan and Peter were at dinner along with Orlando and Valerie, and for a while they were talking about film, and I do get some poems from film, but I actually have gotten some poems from TV. So this is from a National Geographic Explorer TV show that I saw once. And anyway, it's called Rogue Madonna. It means nothing, you know, it's very positive about Our Lady. It's just a preamble to the Notre Dame. Rogue Madonna. You swing through the broad, high branching trees, and what hangs from your breast, your stolen charge, flounces like a rag doll clung to by a child whose parents disappeared behind a train's ashen door. You hover above primate Eve as if what you hold could forever be held past passing eons and zones occluded by the pixelated boughs, the primeval receding in an advent of savanna to the long outering journey away from your defiant primal stare, AWOL as you are from your tribe, a savant among your kind, who sense the economy of desire, how it burgeons then withdraws, zero bubble to zero in the horde. You circuit the canopy in arabesques, clasping the dead thing to yourself, the rent sock of your need that made the true mother cry out, and made the others clamoring there claw closer in common esurience. What stuns us is not your anxious grasp, the days of your body's failure to nurse, so the earnest TV voice encourages, but your pause in a kind of grim stillness, there on the limb limned by the camera's omniscient eye, playing at the source, the limp body fed from your barrenness. Still, an image like some immaculate mirage floats to mind with its flawless human face, a radiant all-mother gazing at us, past us, toward some distant Ignis that gathers everything into its brilliance. We, your wilier cousins, you, the living stones. And the child on her lap also gazing out, who will die in an ecstasy of tortured flesh, a plump icon already cognizant of this cosmos born in waste and burials. And you looking back, one of the going facts, beheld in your beholding as though transfixed by the low, verdant tremor of the bells. A number of poems that focus on beginnings, like that one. And the next poem I'm going to read is called A Palm Print in Lascaux. Has anybody been to the Lascaux caves in France? I don't think you can actually get in them anymore. I think they're all sealed off to preserve those amazing images on the walls made by our earliest ancestors. And you can go into a sort of proto or fake Lascaux now, where they've done it up as if you were going into the real cave, but you don't actually go into the real cave anymore. Pretty soon it'll all be like that. It'll all be virtual. Everything will be virtual. We won't even be here at poetry readings. It'll all be virtual. This is called A Palm Print in Lascaux. And it's in 5 short sections, and I'll just pause between the sections. It's kind of a fantasia. It's a sort of entering into Lascaux. I've never been to Lascaux either, so we're on the same page there. I'm just imagining myself going there. A Palm Print in Lascaux. I too want to reach behind the stone veil, to follow the rabbit down its winding hole into the whisper chamber. Bosses like sails billowing in an earthen wind. This first world with its presences recursive in the maze. Bison, ibex, mammoth, and stag. The steppe alive in limestone on the vaulted frieze. Down with my lamp to terra incognita. Magician in my skin cape, conjuring beasts. Trove of the underworld's infinite hat. Tallow smell above the axial gallery, an island of light in the hall of bulls, illuminates the surging cavalcade, as if stone had fixed itself from shifting clouds into these forms heard by the searching hand. Ochre hide, black blooms of antlers splay from a stag's head. Aurochs flaring horns. Something in the mind cleaves to this rock face, like a cave bear's tooth housed in its niche, scoured bones articulated in their graves. What hides, parietal, in the mask of dark? After image the child fashions in sleep, a drunk's tremens, a screensaver's bright mark, virtual gallop across the humming screen. In a high nave curving heavenward, where the blessed pose in their spirit ride, so these inhuman majesties surround the descendant. Flint-napped, finger-fluted, walls move, tangible air, a horse reels, heaved back like a penitent, the stunned, healed soul. The wounded man recumbent in the shaft awaits the bison's charge, arms outstretched to embrace what comes. Beside him, his staff floats in whitewash, where an all-seeing bird contemplates a beast, tail up, whose horned head dissolves into the membrane of the vision. skeletal soul, mean of living and dead, first emigrated